Welcome back to the Green Beret Life. I am Matt. That is Stu. We had a modified show last week, thanks to Stu. First off tonight, Rip Dolly Parton. God bless her. Rest in peace. I was shocked at the news today when I heard this, and I think people don't realize what a big superstar, part of Americana, Dolly Parton was. It's just like it was compared to like when Elvis died today. But I grew up listening to that music. I remember all of these songs. I remember all of it. And Dolly Parton was such a loved individual from just all walks of the United States. So
a complete class act. There was never any. I don't think I've ever heard even rumor of anything, untoward about Dolly Parton and the way she treated people, the way she ran her businesses and organizations and everything. Just, unique individual.
An incredibly talented songwriter and singer too. I mean, just obviously she was a fantastic actress as well. So just a super talented person, super good person, an American icon, really. And it's very, very sad news today.
Yeah, absolutely.
What else do we have on the docket? We're going to talk about Dolly Parton, I guess, a little bit. And we have several stories that are important.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got ICE doing the Lord's work in Virginia and Maryland, arresting over 1,300 individuals, and they are of the expected caliber that the Democrats want to fight to keep into the country. Story Matt sent me, Trump had a big win, or at least a big preliminary win concerning mail-in voting. And Matt and I were talking about it just before the show. It's really interesting in the way they went about crafting the executive order to kind of sidestep some of these expected lawsuits and that sort of thing. We're going to talk about that. We've got out of California, to no one's surprise, Los Angeles County is hiring attorneys to fight the lawsuits of the citizens that they abjectly failed with their risk and fire management, no reservoirs, empty fire hydrants, that sort of thing, and people are rightly upset about it. So.
Stu, your audio is going in and out. I don't know if everybody else hears it that way or if it's like coming and going.
I don't know. Troy, how does it sound on your end? But I'll move my mic a little bit. So yeah, we're going to talk about that with the California wildfires. And also out of California, there was a story I found, and it was very interesting, but it's California. But apparently they have public funds, which are taxpayer dollars, that are. Hey Troy, I just moved my mic. Let me know if that made it any better. They have this public fund that if you as an individual donate $1 to the candidate, the fund matches it 6-1. And it blows my mind. And we're going to get into some of the back and forth on this. The people that support it, their rationale for it just doesn't make sense on the surface. We'll talk about that real quick. And the last story that I have here is out of Florida. They're doing work to basically ban the use of EBT cards on quote unquote inappropriate non-essential items.
It's about time.
And some of these items, and I can't see how I can't see how these are legitimized in the system, but I don't know of any other way because I mean with EBT, unless it's coded differently at the retailer or something, because they're saying basically
Dude,
EBTs have been used.
there's no limit on this shit. I'll give you an
Well,
example. So, in a convenience store, okay, they will come into a convenience store and they'll try to go and buy. First of all, they make these things look like real credit cards. So don't be fooled when you see the carts at Walmart that don't have any spaces of air in them for groceries, right? With somebody that probably doesn't speak English or anything else, right? When you see these things, right, that's an EBT card 99% of the time, okay? Because there's no regard given to what something costs, the junk food, and anything. So they'll come into a convenience store, try to buy a carton of cigarettes. You tell them, pound sand, we can't sell you cigarettes because that's technically an EBT card. Oh, hold on. Okay. They'll go over to the ATM, withdraw the cash, and then come over and say, hand me my cigarettes. Wham. They can use an EBT card to grab cash. That's your money, folks.
how
Money.
is that? And again, I know it's by design, and it's just my phrase.
Mm-hmm.
How is that? Who thought that was a good idea? If we're going to have this list of validated and approved items, no one thought that, oh, well, the easiest way to bypass this is to walk right around the corner, pull $100 out, cash advance, and then go in and buy it.
They go right to
the easiest thing to crack down on.
They go right to the ATM in the convenience store. Now, I've had store managers telling me this. This is how it's done, right? And yeah, how could anybody think this is a good, rational individual? They can just go and withdraw cash from an
like
ATM.
we said before, Matt, it's a feature, not a bug. It's working as intended. It started out as EBT, and it's turned into, hey, here's a slush fund. We'll continue to give you money, vote for us.
Yeah.
But it seems like to me that the easiest thing to do is to eliminate that. You can no longer withdraw cash from here. You can go to these vendors. This is what the card's for, period.
There should be specific. Okay. So there should be like milk, eggs, cheese, right? And there should be a specific brand or something that they do. These are EBT eligible. Wham. You know what I mean? So you don't go and waste the money you have with this card to go and buy essentials, and first of all, it needs to go to people who need this, right? Period. Not the 25-year-old that doesn't want to work, right? And live off of EBT, able-bodied, right?
Well, let me ask you a quick question. I'm going to ask you an acronym question. What does SNAP stand for?
Supplemental Nutritional
Assistance Program.
Assistance. Okay, yeah.
All right. So let me ask you something. How much I went on Amazon and I typed in SNAP eligible items.
Everything.
What do you think the nutritional value is of a 20-pack of Oreo Minis, Ritz Bits, Chips Ahoy's, and Nutter Butters?
How about snapping into a Slim Jim?
Or snack cups of Pringles, or your Lance variety packs? What's the Pop-Tarts, Welch's fruit snacks, Vita Coco organic coconut water? Oh, Celsius, sparkling Fuji, Rice Krispie treats.
Isn't Celsius
Cheetos,
an energy drink? Cheetos, yeah.
Ritz snack packs, Dots pretzels, vanilla wafers, Kool-Aid jammers, Reese's Field pretzels, Fruit by the Foot, Gushers.
You know another thing I heard that was SNAP eligible? What's the grocery thing where people don't have to leave their house and they can just order the Instacart? Or Instacart. That's like
where you pay 20% more for it.
Yeah, a big chunk of it, like a huge chunk of Instacart is EBT.
Yeah. But the supplemental nutrition assistance program, and this is just the first page of Amazon. And we had looked at this before, several months ago, And using EBT and SNAP, you could buy, you know, $150 platters of meats and cheeses and just bizarre things that it should never ever be intended for. You know, like Matt said, this is for people who can't, not for people who won't. And it
Yeah.
should be your staples, your basics, like you said, meat, cheese, ground beef, chicken, you know, what someone needs that to have a
And
healthy life, you know,
absolutely zero
Slim Jims,
illegals should be
pistachios.
getting any of this. Zero illegals. This is nuts. We're 40 trillion in debt. We're 40 trillion in debt. This is insane.
I mean, we've almost reached the point that it's monopoly money with the
Mhm.
debt. It is not something that can ever be repaid.
No.
No, it just
And that's
how?
another design. That's another feature. Like you,
Yes.
that was the way this was all set up. This was a feature, right? Because they were giving, wow, this is getting into conspiracy shit. But if you ever heard that like, the United States was a corporation and all of the conspiracy theories, even including Titanic, we had a show on it here one
Yeah.
time about the Federal Reserve and how it was developed and all of this, right? And when we went off the gold standard, this enabled them to quantitative easing and printing money
Oh yeah.
and
Well, as soon as
manipulating
it became, you know,
currency,
untethered to something,
yeah,
it's whatever you say it is.
yeah, and in giving us a finite window of when everything collapses because we've overspent, right, with this fiat currency. And then guess what? We all have to go into a new world order, right? Forget the Constitution that was written by our forefathers. We're back into a one world government that living in 15-minute cities, being told what we can do, and acting as serfs for the elite.
Yeah.
No thanks.
Well, Troy said that's all supplemental nutrition. It's not to
Yeah.
supplement the nutrition, it's supplemental nutrition.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just did that, and I did it for EBT, and it's just as atrocious. It is, I don't know.
Yeah.
And like it's by design. It is a vote for me item. You know, evil Republicans want to take away your SNAP benefits. No,
Mhm.
we just want to take away you buying 20 packs of Oreo minis and Nutter Butters.
Well, here's
SNAP
where I have a real issue, because then you hear people that we need to go after entitlements, right? We need to go after entitlements, and they always seem to include Medicare, Social Security, along with Medicaid, right?
Yes.
Medicare and Social Security, you have freaking paid for. For
Yes.
most people, they're putting illegals on it, of course, or they're putting people that we bring over to this country that never paid into it on it, of course.
Yeah.
Right. But these are what you're owed for sure. Those shouldn't be touched. We shouldn't be dicking around with those. Medicaid, that's another ballgame altogether, because we've allowed a welfare class, and this was by design, because if you look at any of the 60 radicals, from Saul Alinsky to the Rathke brothers, Cloward and Piven, they all saw this as using public welfare systems in order to collapse this country from within, and in order to get us to a Marxist, socialist, communist type of society. That's what it was all about. Who studied under Cloward and Piven? Barack Obama, who was an acolyte of Saul Alinsky, Hillary Clinton. This is by design. It's all by design. This mass welfare, and if you say anything against it, you're heartless or you're a racist, right?
Yeah, you're an ist of some sort, absolutely.
What's unethical is taking from the people that produce and giving it to the people that have no intention of ever producing or committing to society in any way whatsoever. And if you say anything about it, you're racist or you're heartless. This is bullshit. We're going to sink ourselves. So now we're giving it to illegals, Stu. We're giving it to illegals. This is insane.
We're giving it to these people right here, Matt. These are 1,300 illegals arrested in Virginia and Maryland in the past 2 weeks.
With no help from the state or local law
Oh
enforcement.
no, I'm sure they're all sanctuary. This was all done. Yeah. And of course, 400 of those arrested had either been convicted of or charged with crimes in the United States. Those arrested included people with convictions, not charges, convictions for sexual battery, kidnapping, DUI, hit and run, identity theft, robbery, as well as individuals arrested for murder, attempted murder, and rape. ICE also arrested alleged gang members of MS-13 and Tren de Aragua. So this is who they're arresting. This is who Virginia and Maryland are sanctuary citying for. This is what they're protecting. Among those was, this guy's got 5 freaking names. An illegal alien from El Salvador wanted on warrants for murder and use of a firearm in the commission of a murder in Richmond.
What was his name?
Agnier Wilfredo Hueso Moran.
Hueso Moran. He's a moron.
And then the other arrest, Angel Gabriel Ortiz Hernandez from Guatemala, whose history includes arrest for rape of a mentally incapacitated victim and 2 counts of aggravated battery of an incapacitated victim.
Oh my Lord.
This is who
the Democrats are defending and giving your taxpayer money to. These are the people that we have to give your taxpayer money to. And they get free in-state tuition in states like Minnesota, right?
Yeah. Troy said importing the finest doctors and scientists.
Yes, exactly.
Well, I mean, some of these probably were recreational pharmacists.
Yeah, recreational pharmacist is right. Holy smoke. I want to, while we're talking about this, there's a couple of YouTube channels that I think are worth mentioning. Okay. One is called, what is it? It's Dutch Traveling Maniac. Okay. Dutch Traveling Maniac. I've not mentioned him. He's fantastic. He goes through these cities in Europe and he just rolls through and he's recording himself and he's showing what's going on in the area. Now, people tell him ahead of time, here are the trouble areas, and you ought to see the migrants go after him because he's recording. And this dude doesn't back down. Okay, so he gets into it, and he actually got roughed up by 3. He's very capable of taking care of himself. But watch his channel because it's excellent. It's Dutch Traveling Maniac, right? And the other one I told you about before was Kurt Kaz, and the British one who started it all was, boy, I was going to say this. I'll think of it later. Charlie Veitch. Charlie Veitch is the other one who does the same thing, primarily around Great Britain. And these guys are fighting back. And it was interesting because I was watching this guy, the Dutch Traveling Maniac, when they were saying, when all of this happened in Spain with all of these migrants coming over from Monaco. And then they said they got it under control and they were all gone. Remember this? And he went to the beaches and showed thousands and thousands. He's like, here's the mainstream media is telling you they're gone. They're not gone. Here they are, right? Showing them on the beach and the government taking care of them. And all. This is by design. This is too stupid to be stupid. It is by design. All of this is by design to ruin Europe, to ruin the United States, and the people that allow this to happen. Now, obviously, you know me, you know Stu. We talk about the deep state, whether it be in Europe, whether it be here in the United States. Personally, I think the deep state right now is doing everything they can to keep the war in Iran going and to keep the war in Russia going in order to try to make things difficult for Trump in the midterms. And it's a coordinated effort. If you listen to the media and everything else, you can say that's a conspiracy theory. You can also add 1 + 1 and figure out that 1 + 1 = 2 when you see all the things that are being done. And if you believe that Ukraine is able to penetrate Russia with advanced drones and hit inside of Moscow you've got rocks in your freaking head. Okay, ain't nothing left in Ukraine. This is a war, in my opinion, being done by other nations, right? With higher technology and more money, right? This is an all-out effort to get rid of. If you follow what's going on in Canada right now, they're right in the middle of this, working with the European Union, China, and everything else. This is a full-throated effort to stop Trump with the midterms coming up. That's what it is. So the big plan, and what these guys are highlighting with all of this, and what's highlighted by the story that Stu just had up, is this is how they're destroying the Western world. This is how they're doing it. And the people that allowed it to happen are the lefties in this country that keep voting for these politicians that are working with this deep state, that are intentionally destroying our country in order to collapse it. That $40 trillion in debt, that isn't by accident. That was by design. It was by design, and they've been talking about it since the 60s and how they were going to do it. And they're put it into motion. And this is just what we're talking about right now. They want this country, they want Europe, they want it gone. They want to be the elites, want to remain the elites for eternity, and they want all of us working for them. They don't want these pesky constitutions. They don't need any of that. They're going to dictate the show. They're going to dictate your life, and you're going to go along with it no matter what. You better get out there, and you better support Republicans, and you better support Donald Trump, because we're under full-scale attack by the media through bogus polls that you're starting to see, and outright lies of stories the mainstream media has been pushing over and over and over again. They don't care. They lie. They'll continue to lie. You'll see false, fake, phony assertions put out by everybody in the mainstream media. And we brought up a few weeks ago that we believe this is being funded through pharmaceutical advertisements. Because once again, blue collar logic, 1 + 1 = 2. Now, this is our opinions, right? But it doesn't take a rocket scientist to start putting pieces together to see what the hell's going on. And that's my opinion.
I'm gonna circle back to a point you had made at the beginning with the Dutch guy going around and filming and exposing what's going on, and the fact that we covered it on a show a week or two ago, just the task forces, the task force that has been set up in the UK literally to imprison people over Facebook posts. And we ridicule the UK for what they've allowed to happen. And I had seen this story, and when you mentioned that, it reminded me I had found this. I had to go back into my inbox and find where I'd sent it to myself. And Gavin Newsom passed the officially signed the Stop Nick Shirley Act. And this is Nick Shirley's post right here. It said, for example, if I film a hospice or a Leering center with no patients receiving millions through Medicaid, and the owner gives me a paper saying I cannot publish the video, I cannot publish it. If I publish it to expose them and they claim it caused them fear, or a third party threatens them, I face a minimum $4,000 civil fine plus the legal fees of the individual or group suing me.
Well, check this out. That right there shows you everything you need to know, and that's a violation of the First Amendment. So yes, the DOJ needs to file a lawsuit against the state of California, and then this needs to go to the Supreme Court, because this type of shit, and anybody who knowingly enacts something in violation of the Constitution like this is a direct violation of the First Amendment. Anybody who knowingly does that needs to face a legal challenge on this and needs to be punished. This is all playing games with our Constitution.
Well, here's this part right here, Matt. This bill was created, and again, I love how it was created by the Attorney General's wife and co-sponsored by Chirilla, a nonprofit that has received over $80 million in taxpayer dollars for immigrant support services.
This is nuts. This is nuts.
But my thing is like, okay, how far does this go? What if, you know, the San Diego Chronicle is doing a story, and I tell them that you can't run that story. That's causing me to fear for my whatever, and it's going to cause people to threaten me. Are they going to get sued under this, or just people like Nick Shirley and
this organization, Chirilla, should be under federal investigation right now. $80 million in taxpayer money.
$80 million.
They need to be investigated.
Support services.
Bill created by Attorney General's wife.
Yep.
Yeah. Chirilla, you've now highlighted yourself. They need to be looked into.
I love this right here. It's got Gavin Newsom. There's no fraud in California. Then it's got Nick Shirley. There might be some fraud. And then the Attorney General. There's fraud, but we're on top of it. The Attorney General's wife. It's a crime to look for fraud in California.
Oh my Lord. That's exactly what's going on.
Yeah. You can't look again. I'm sorry. You're the people that are embezzling millions of dollars fraudulently from the government and the American people are in fear when their fraud and embezzling is found out, so we can't report on it. Okay.
Hey, I want to apologize. I'm here sniffing, and I've been sick since last Thursday. It's just, this is kicking my ass. I don't know what it is. Leave it to me to get the flu or a horrible cold or whatever the hell this is at the end of August in South Florida. Makes no sense, but leave it.
Well, it's that weather dropping at night, plummeting from 108 to 97.
Yeah, that must be what it is. I mean, holy smokes, this has been kicking my ass.
Those humidity swings from 115% humidity to 103%.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, but let's see. What else have we got here? Oh,
hold on. I'm going to step away for 1 second. Hold on. I'm stepping away for 1 second. Stu, talk for, I'll be back.
All right, I'll start this up. So this is the story that Matt had sent me concerning, oh, hold on a second. We got some, yeah, Troy, it's easy to suss out when the mainstream media is lying. Their lips are moving. Freedom says the DSA leader admitted he and his organization have a burning hatred for the U.S. Constitution, view us as an obstacle. Well, they do, because the Constitution was written as a safeguard for the people from the government. And that's what the Bill of Rights are, saying you have these rights, the government cannot take them from you.
Correct.
These socialists and everything, they want
Bill of Rights.
Yeah, they want their quote unquote alternative Bill of Rights that are laying out what the government must do for you. And it's just setting people up it's setting everything up, like Matt says, to just collapse. Because when people are voting in Santa Claus, when they're voting in their sugar daddy or sugar mama, whatever, to where they expect to have to do nothing, it can't sustain. It just can't. Sooner or later, you run out of other people's money. It just happens. But one of the things I didn't mean to interrupt. There was no, go ahead.
I'll bring it up later. There was some good news in the gun industry that I wanted to ask if you heard that, because I don't know if I got the full story. All right, go ahead.
Well, no, go ahead. We haven't jumped into the story yet. What's that?
I heard today that it's a new ruling came out that you can carry if you're if you're in a state and you have a CCW and you're permitted to carry in that state as an adult, right? You can now carry in post offices. And this is important because post offices, they said that it was the post office union who sued, right? And post offices were a federal building and you weren't allowed to carry inside a federal building. But they made it so that if you parked in the parking lot and put your gun in the glove box or under the seat to go in, that was still a felony. And that was set up to trap people, right?
Yeah.
So now I don't have the full. I just heard a story out of the, and I caught just the last end of it. But it sounds like that it's now legal to carry in a post. Now, don't take me for this until we get more information on
Yeah,
it.
I
But
haven't seen that yet. I'll be on the lookout for that and see
Yeah.
what comes up. I know there are a lot of things happening around the NFA, SBRs, SBSs, suppressors, but nothing has firmed up yet because rulings have come down, but the ATF has basically thus far refused to comment on it. It's bizarre, and this is what happens when
don't
you
carry
allow
don't carry in
institutions
a
to make
post
laws.
office until this all gets sorted out. Don't do
Yeah,
that. That's what I'm saying right now. But it sounds like there might be some good news coming here.
yeah, and I'm not putting a stock on my AR pistol until there's
Yeah,
something else
exactly.
comes down. That's not happening.
That's so
Um,
silly, this whole thing. But
it is. It's nothing. Whatever.
anybody
Um,
that anybody like these Brits that come over and anybody that makes fun of our Second Amendment is a clown. Because you know what's keeping the world free? Our Second Amendment. I hate to say this, but it absolutely is. The United States, even if we collapsed financially, it would be a disaster for anybody to try to take us over for that simple fact alone. Okay, there's modern technology, they could wipe a bunch of us out for sure, but the fact that so many of us are exercising our Second Amendment right, if we didn't have that, we would be one of these dictatorship shitholes that you're seeing some of these European countries delve into right now. But it would be worse because there would be nobody like the United States that's around. There'd be
yeah.
nobody there. So I'm telling you, the Second Amendment is the first. You know what I'm saying? Without it, we have nothing. We have nothing. We lose everything. So
Well, and that's why they're always the Democrats and those of that ilk are always looking for a way to chip away at it and make it more difficult and to just criminalize oddball, arbitrary aspects of things. Like you said, okay, I can't carry into the post office. Fine, I'll put it in my center console and lock it. Oh, guess what? That's a felony too because it's
yeah.
federal property, or whatever. Just and
Mhm.
it's a way to scare you away because if you're running around and going and handling your business in town and you're going by the post office, well, guess what? Now they're disarming you for the day.
Mhm.
They're depriving you of the ability to carry your firearm for whatever reason, emotional support, protecting your family, whatever reason, just because you like
Mhm.
the color purple and you just got a cool purple little whatever, doesn't matter. You don't have to have a good reason. You have the right. I don't
Mhm.
need a reason. I have the right, and that's what they're doing is by putting that in is chipping away at that from around the edges, and that's the absolute intent.
Mhm.
But one of the things Trump is trying to do to at least return a little bit of sanity is these mail-in voting restrictions. And Matt and I
Mhm.
were looking at this and talking about this before the show started this evening. But it looks like the broad strokes of it are DHS has been tasked with compiling lists of eligible voters per state. And then the USPS has to bounce um any mail-in ballots that are going through USPS hands to this list before they are delivered. That's the broad strokes of it. There are a lot more nuanced details in the actual postal service rules that are going into effect, kind of how they're going to
Barcode
do it.
on it, right? Barcode on the each individual
Yeah, things are going to be
identifying that particular
barcoded.
person. Yeah.
So it's going to be,
Well,
and it's not. And we were talking about this. The way states have gotten away with it thus far is by law, it is left up to the states to run their elections. So these states have kind of just been able to run amok with it because the federal government can't tell them, no, you have to implement XYZ. But what they've done is kind of an end around of that avoidance is nothing they're doing is tasking the state with anything. Nothing that they're doing is telling the state they must do or they can't do something. All they are doing are directing federal agencies that this is how you will operate. So this isn't a undue burden on the state. This is how USPS is going to operate when it comes to mail-in ballots.
Well, you can see these states are fighting they're all liberal states, of course, that are fighting cleaning up their voter rolls. And there's these voter rolls. There's, I would guess, millions, judging by the numbers that have been coming out of some of these states, that aren't supposed to be on the voting rolls in these states, that are dead,
easily,
that are moved away, that are illegal, the whole 9 yards, right? It's like this. It's like that deal in New Jersey where, there was a glitch and 6,000, bullshit, 6,000 people got on this, and it was a software glitch. And the software company says it's impossible. There was no software glitch.
Yeah, exactly.
Those had to be entered, right? They had to be entered by somebody. And they think, by saying it's a software glitch and trying to push it over on the software company when they came back and went after the state. No, there's no software glitch. That was entered in that way. The motor voter stuff for illegals, for driver's licenses, was all about registering them to vote. That's why they are here in the first place. They are here to replace you. The Democrats have lost reliable votes en masse. So they need to replace their voters, right? When they haven't shamed minorities enough for voting Republican, now they know they have to replace you. And they're going to bring in third worlders, and they can say, hey, here, we're going to give you all of this stuff while we're trying to collapse the United States, right? Because that kills two birds with one stone for us. And then we're going to give you all this. You just keep us in power and don't pay attention to those evil Americans over there trying to restrict your free stuff, right?
Yep.
So
exactly.
But the reason why all of this is necessary, right? And this is leading to something else, Stu. The reason why this is necessary is because we have a feckless, useless Senate that we need to get some different senators in there to replace the shit that we have in there right now. And the biggest shitbag in the Senate is John Thune. Okay,
well, we talked about it. The just Congress as a whole, has completely abdicated their lawmaking function to all of these other entities, to the ATF, to the EPA, to all of these government agencies.
But in this case, Stu, with the SAVE Act, Congress did its job. It's the Senate. And now, have you heard the latest? They supposedly have the votes. So when they come back from recess, they're going to pass it, right? But guess what? It's too late to implement for the elect. Yeah, isn't that cute, right? So now the worry out there is that Trump is going to declare a state of emergency. He's got the evidence to do it. And if Trump declares a state of emergency, there is no legal challenge to what he can do with that. There will be no legal challenge, right? And they are scared out of their mind that this is what Trump, and I hope he does it, because we need to shore up these elections and to stop the cheat. And in the meantime, what they're going to do is they're working with an international crew, including the European Union and everybody else, to keep these wars going so they don't come to a resolution, and to keep gas and oil prices up, which keeps inflation up. And this is exactly what they're doing. And I listened to a news story tonight talking about beef prices. And they were saying, since Donald Trump took office, beef prices have rose 23%. Not to mention that before Biden left office, he killed all the chickens. He was killing all of the cattle, right?
Yeah.
This is the bullshit that they pull. It is a full-scale effort to destroy our country. It is and that's how you have to look at it. I sound goofy saying this, and 10 years ago, I would have thought I sounded goofy. But this is what is going on, in my opinion. This is what is going on.
Well, like we've said before, you can dismiss one or two things, or three or four things, or five or six things, but when you start getting into the double and triple digits of things that are pointing in the same direction, eh, you know, the signs are there. If you refuse to acknowledge them, it's really on you. It's all right here.
Mhm. Oh,
And
it's interesting because I'm down here in South Florida, and I've been taking I had to go through a class, and in that class, down here there's lots of Cubans here in Florida, so I've got to know quite a few of these guys, and a lot of them were Cuban, right? That I was in this class with, and some of them had been back. And when you hear the stories of what goes down in Cuba, everything that goes on that you don't see, the resorts 100% different than the way everybody else lives,
oh,
right?
absolutely.
For a toilet, you've got to carry a bucket of water for it to work. Okay. You don't have any hot water in the showers. You are restricted for everything. You can't get anything in Cuba. Cuba is a disaster. That's why these Cubans are such hardcore US patriots, right? Because they know what's going on over there. And they also know that as soon as this Iranian thing gets finished, Cuba's next on the docket. And they are waiting. They are waiting for the freedom, for Cuba to be freed. I never quite understood, Stu, and maybe you can enlighten me on your ideas on this. How did we ever allow that to happen 90 miles off the shore of our country? How did we ever allow it?
I I don't know. I mean, obviously the Cuban Missile Crisis and communism and all of that was a
But that was a result of
big
all of it.
part of it in
It was a
the
result of all of this. Yeah. We
in
allowed
the
Che
60s,
Guevara and
70s, and
Fidel
80s.
Castro to come out of the mountains and kill all of those people and take over that country 90 miles off of the coast of Florida. How could we ever do this? How could we ever allow that? It makes no sense to me.
I
You know,
again, I honestly wonder how much of it was planned and orchestrated by our government and the CIA to give us the
you have
boogeyman at
to,
our doorstep.
and maybe even the global deep state. Who knows?
Yeah,
I mean, you have to include that in everything, right?
because I mean, I'm sorry, you can't tell me that Cuba legitimately could resist the United States being like, okay, we're done with this. Either you change or we'll change it for you.
Yeah, yeah.
Who is going to come to Cuba's aid? I really think it was there in the 60s, 70s, and 80s as the communist threat, the big red scare machine, and
Hmm.
then it was just when it was no longer served a useful purpose, it was just forgotten and
And
abandoned.
that is an excellent way to think outside the box on this, Stu, because I think that's probably as good a guess on what went down with that whole deal and why we allowed that more than anything else. I think it was something along those lines, you know?
Yeah, that's just my off the cuff. That I just it checks the boxes. You know,
Hmm.
I can't think of any other reason why it would have
Hmm.
been allowed to do, be there for as long as it has been in the shape that it's been in. Is
But
once it served its purpose, who cares? It's
well,
non-issue.
the thing, right? The thing is, people might say, "Oh, that's conspiracy." That's called critical thought, right? So, what are you going to do? Are you going to listen to what the media that you know are a bunch of freaking liars? You can't believe a word they say; it's all propaganda. Or do you think critically about things and you take data and you put the data together and make an educated guess? Is that for
Yeah,
sure? Why? Who knows? But that's a more intelligent thought as to what's going on, as far as, oh, it just happened organically, and the United
yeah.
States, the most powerful country in the world, just let it happen, right?
Had no idea and no way to stop it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I think that same way about what happened on October 7th in Israel. How could how could the Israeli government have allowed that to happen? And how could they have been caught so flat-footed for 7 freaking hours? No way. No way. No way. I don't believe any of it. Okay. So there's that. I support Israel over there because, I mean, are you kidding me? But I have a real hard time wrapping my head around that, because that makes no sense.
That's hard to figure out. That's hard to put to square that circle.
And that being said, I don't think everything that Israel does is good either. And I don't like the fact that we have people in our country that I think give a shit more about Israel than the United States. This is America first. Period. Amen. Okay. They're an ally of ours over there. And I know that they're up against it over there. And this coalition that Trump has put together is brilliant, that he does not get credit for. The whole Abraham Accords is absolutely
huge,
because he's got them. All of the countries involved in this know that they have a future where they can all make a lot of money, right? And Trump knows this. This is how Trump speaks to them, right? And he has them working together, where you see in a country like Iran that they're hell bent on taking over for their twisted worldview of the future, right? They don't give a shit about it. You got a bunch of radicals over there that are running that country, which are getting smaller and smaller and smaller.
And the group's getting smaller and smaller.
But he basically used Iran to join all these other countries with Israel. So now they're fighting together against where this is going to go in the future. I don't know, but if they are all making money and they fix the Middle East, because the Middle East could be the ultimate. Well, certain places in the Middle East could be the ultimate vacation resort destination.
Well, it used to be.
Yeah.
You go and look at pictures in we brought them up on the show before.
Mm-hmm.
In pictures of Iran in the 70s.
Yeah.
Before the mullahs took over. I mean, it was a normal functioning society.
Mm-hmm. It was very Western. Lebanon was the same way. High Christian population, high European population in Lebanon. And boy, oh boy, it's like the world stood by and watched the Muslims kill off all the Christians in Lebanon. And in Turkey,
did a 180.
In Turkey, they brought Turkey to NATO, and while they were killing Christians off in Turkey and running them out. Yeah, I mean, it's nuts. It's nuts. So when you have radical Islam coming here, they're not coming here for the reasons you believe. Some might be. You can't say all of that. Okay, but most of them are coming here to take over. That's what and they'll tell you this. It's not a secret. It's not a secret. No. You see it in Europe. Here, they're out there. This dumbass Sneeko who likes attention, this YouTube, was there. Oh, no, we will take over. Like he's a big Muslim imam or some shit right now. Did you see that cringeworthy video of that freaking Harry?
I don't waste my time with that kind of nonsense.
Jumping around, speaking, and then you've got this Hassan Piker clown who drives a Porsche GT3 RS. I don't know if you know anything about Porsches or what it takes to get one of those, or how much money you have to. And then he goes around preaching, taking from the rich and making capitalist blood run in the streets. This little freak. But when some wrestler says he's coming after Hassan Piker as a joke and part of the shtick, he calls the FBI, makes a report to the FBI on the guy as like a legitimate death threat. I mean, give me a break. So,
well, it's like the first ones that would call for the police to be defunded are the same ones that don't want the Second Amendment. And it's like, well, okay, so who is it you're going to call when someone is breaking into your house? Well, I think we could have a conversation.
A social worker.
Yeah. Well, okay, but what are you going to do if they mean you ill? Well, I'll call the police. So you want to call the people you don't trust with guns to protect you from someone versus you protecting yourself. Mm-hmm. Just the logic makes no sense. It falls apart almost immediately. It really does. It's like a vampire when the sun, peeks over the horizon, just turns to dust and blows away.
Have you seen, this guy who worked at the VA in Minneapolis as a nurse, the one who got shot by Ice Age, but he was showing up, spitting on ICE officers, kicking
Yeah.
their cars, kicking them, and carrying a gun at the same time? None of that makes any sense to me. You're going to go in physically, try to attack and wrestle with carrying a gun. To me, this sounds like suicide by cop. That's what it sounds like to me. This guy had issues, mental issues, but his family is now, his mom, his family, they're the typical Minnesota liberal family. That's what they are. And this is the service they did, because they're saying now their son was murdered. As they're showing pictures, the guy was out there for weeks, antagonizing, getting in fights, kicking out the lights of our taxpayer vehicles, spitting on people and everything else. And they're George Stephanopoulos, they're playing this guy off as a victim and that he was murdered, right? This guy was out there getting in fights with cops with a gun, with federal agents, and over and over and over again. This guy, I think,
again, the rule to live by is only break one law at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Don't go trying to be overachiever.
Well, I at the same time, I think we mishandled that whole deal, because you knew you weren't going to get help from Minnesota authorities, right? Why didn't they send in the federal marshals and the FBI and everything in force to basically provide the policing power for ICE to go in and do their job? And anybody that got in the way of them should have been arrested, thrown in a paddy wagon, and then tried federally somewhere for a felony, right? That's how you do it. But we let it get all out of control and everything. That's how that should have been done.
I mean, and I can see how it's one of those things where you don't want to be what could be perceived as an overreaction. You want to handle it at the lowest possible level, but there reaches a point to where that just you can't sustain that. That isn't feasible.
After
you have to ratchet up
week,
and
after the first week where you saw that law enforcement was being used to defend the people who were assaulting the people on the good side, right? The patriots, they were openly assaulting them and getting away with it, right? When you saw that after the first week and assaulting ICE officers and everything else, that's when you should have rolled in the fury, right?
Yes.
Rolled them right in. And every one of those, they should have busted up those crowds. Everybody who was acting out of order, you have a right to peacefully assemble. Peacefully. None of that was peaceful. They were communicating with one another. They had activation teams, which this guy was on, right? And they would report, and they would show up to interfere, agitate, harass, fight with federal agents. Those people should have all been arrested. They should have worked it backwards, used technology to find out exactly what they were doing, and finding everybody who was broadcasting it. And lo and behold, if there were media outlets that were assisting in this way, arrest their ass too.
Don Lemon. Don Lemon.
Yeah.
Whatever happened with his thing?
I don't know. I thought he was going to jail, and now he's got the mayor of Gary on saying the reason why, and crews are facing live rounds being shot at them down there, trying to repair the electrical grid in Gary. And I saw a number, how many people were 60 days in arrears in Gary in their bill payment. It was unreal, right?
Wow.
So, but he was saying it's racism now, that in Don Lemon's there on his show, his internet deal, whatever it is. Does anybody watch Don Lemon? Don Lemon gets more attention because he's so ridiculous from conservative news outlets than I think he does on his channels. Yeah,
that's actually the last thing I've seen of him is when he inserted himself in raiding a guy's church.
Raiding a church. They raided a church and harassed the people. And that's But all of them should be charged on felonies. Every
Yeah.
single one of them. You
Yep.
can't go into somebody's. This is so insane. It's so insane. So,
All right, Matt. What we're creeping up on the 1 hour mark. What have you got to round things out?
well, we're going to make an attempt to talk about some type of gun stuff, not just gun laws and boring stuff like that, but actually gun stuff, because that's obviously, I'm interested in guns. Stu's interested.
All
I know
right.
you.
Well, here we go. We've got something for a quick discussion.
Okay.
What do you think of lasers, whether on a pistol or rifle?
I think lasers have a place. I know they sort of fell out of vogue with people, although if they were IR lasers, everybody wanted those, right? So I think lasers have a place. Okay, people with poor eyesight, people that want, you know, I think of like my dad carrying a firearm. I would kind of think a laser would work for my dad's very capable with the firearm with iron sights or red dot, but some older people, and I think a laser, a proper laser that they can see and that's zeroed correctly, I think is a very, very effective tool on whatever firearm you want to put it on. But whatever it is, I've seen some guys competing with lasers, because you can compete with lasers. And I think
Really?
both EPA and USPSA, yeah.
Huh.
And I don't know if it's faster than, traditional red dot, or the way people can line up iron sights and stuff, but it's pretty fast. And I think it's a very effective way for people that don't train all the time to be pretty accurate with where they're placing their shots. So I think lasers have value, me personally.
Okay. And I'd kind of very similar in thought to you. And I mean, I guess too, it could really be a good training tool for dry
Mm-hmm.
firing. Because if you have
Yeah.
the laser there and you've got your target, as you're squeezing that trigger,
Well, those
that
SCIF
laser is
pistols
going to
have a
tell on
laser.
you.
Yeah, they have, some of them have two different lasers on them. Yeah, it's a very good tool for dry fire for sure.
Because that laser will tell you if you're pulling, if you're, like you said, you're getting too much of your grip hand involved in
Mm-hmm.
manipulating the trigger, pulling it down into the right. If you're, it'll tell on you.
Not to be fair, a red dot will do the same thing for you, right?
That's true.
Um, but I think the laser definitely. I think,
Well, the laser, your buddies can clown on you too, though.
yeah. Well, just think of this. Imagine somebody comes crashing through, and you're dead asleep. You got your pistol, on your bedside stand, right? And it's protective safe if there's, people that are minors in the house, right? But you got it there. Somebody comes crash, wakes you out of a deep sleep. Now, I am nowhere near as alert or spry as I was when I was in my 20s or 30s. Nowhere near. I mean, even getting up from being tired, if I'm woken up in the middle of the night, my reactions are a little bit slower than what they used to be, right? So I think a laser in that situation is a pretty invaluable tool. Don't you?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it gives you a
Quick
very
reference from a
a
different
very
angle.
quick reference.
Yeah.
Yeah, and off angle, something awkward or whatever. And, I guess when you're in a situation like that, anything you can do to tilt the odds in your favor is worthwhile.
There's an intimidation factor with the laser too, that I don't think people see a laser. Say two guys break into your house and they see a laser going back and forth. You know what I mean? Then it's like,
Well,
oh
it
shit.
was funny. We were, I think I told you, we went out, we set the skeet thrower out up in the front yard over the
Mm-hmm.
weekend, and we're shooting skeet out in the front field, and one of them was using the pump shotgun,
Mm-hmm.
and there's just nothing. There is nothing like the chack chack of a pump shotgun to
Yeah.
get someone's attention in a dark room.
Oh yeah. Yeah. but I think they may not be cool or whatever. I'm almost getting to the point, Stu. I don't give a shit what's cool or what's not cool. You know what I mean? I
What
really
is it?
don't.
The Grandpa Simpson. I used to be with it, and then I forgot what it was. I forget the exact quote, but yeah.
I don't really give a shit if it has functionality and it can be used and it's thought out, right? I'd say go for it. Make sure it's zeroed. Make sure it's a reliable laser. Don't buy a piece of shit, because there's a lot of piece of shit Chinese lasers out there. Make sure it's a good laser. And I think
Troy said he wants a laser that'll burn the bad guy. Troy's the only person I know that burned their house down with a laser with an intruder coming in.
Yeah, I think that is the case. Here's another thing. Here's another tip. I'm wearing some 511 pants right now, right? But you see the tactical guys out there now, right? Because it was kind of, I still kind of dress tactical, right? But what does dressing tactical do? What does that do? What does the bad guy see, right? When you see tactical Timmy coming down the way, you know what I mean? He knows that you're probably the guy you might want to deal with first, right? The bad guy. I think in order to be a good gray man, you blend in, especially when you're traveling. And if you're overseas or if you're any of this, okay, don't wear shit that looks tack-to-tark. I like to wear tactical clothes, and it's a look because it's just been my lifestyle for so long, right? But don't be afraid to look like a dork, right? Because nobody expects.
That's me my entire life. I'm good with it.
Yeah, I mean that's the true gray man. You want to be the gray man. You want to blend in. The guy that people forget who was never there. That's the guy you want to be. That doesn't draw attention to yourself. So
well, that's like I see, and again, everybody can do fly their freak flag, whatever. But whenever I see the trucks with the SIG and the Glock and the this and that all over the back windows, I'm just like, no,
you're advertising.
my truck has none of that. There's hell. I don't even. I mean, I might wear my Icarus Precision hat. When I go out somewhere, I'm not wearing a Glock hat. I'm not wearing a SIG hat. I don't
you have that badass HK hat.
Well, that is a pretty cool hat. I will say that is a pretty badass hat.
Yeah, I won't wear those.
Yeah, I'll wear that one occasionally, but 99.9% of the time, I'm not. I don't have anything like that.
Yeah, that's
all right. That puts us at an hour, Matt.
All right, perfect. Hey guys, want to say? Oh, here's one thing about the Dolly Parton story. Trump is ordered all flags half-mast for a week, which I think is a very, very appropriate response, and I'm glad I saw that, because, like I said, Dolly
absolutely. I didn't realize that. That's awesome.
She was very supportive of the military and law enforcement too. So
yes,
and she was smart enough. I think I know how she was. She's old school country musician, and
yes,
there's pictures of her with Marsha Blackburn, and she stayed out of politics, but she was a God-fearing woman. She was pro-America as they get. So you can kind of have an idea. And you know what? Who cares? Who gives a shit, really? She stayed out of politics and told people that because she had fans on both sides. And that's kind of the way it should be if you're an entertainer, right? Because right now you're going to piss people off. Either way.
Why would you alienate half of your audience?
Stay out of it. So she did that better than anybody. She's going to be missed. Thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you for being a patriot, first and foremost. And we look forward to seeing you guys and hearing your input and getting everything back from you guys next week. Live in freedom every day. We'll catch you in the next show.
Yep. Thank you, everyone. We appreciate it. We will see you next week.